Test if an index of a list exists. Okay, so this is actually two questions. First, I want to know if there is a way to test if an index of a list exists. For example, I want to increment list I, each time a given condition is true using code like list I, plus equals 1, but if the index doesn't exist, I'm given an error. So I want to set up a test that, in the case of an error, does something like list.append 1. What code could accomplish such a testing condition? If list I throws an error. As a follow-up question, once the test is established, is there any way to create a list index aside from using the aforementioned append method?
It sounds like what you really want is a default dict, not a list so much as a mapping of integers to some sort of count of the number of times you've seen them. This is really close to the concept of auto-vivificating in Perl. If you've used that before, this code would work. Then you can use for any value of I. If it has been seen before, then it will increment it. If not, then my underscore list I will get a default value of 0, which will immediately be incremented to 1.
Test if an index exists. In this situation, you're probably better off using a dict instead of an array, and possibly a default dict. Is there any way to create a list index aside from using the aforementioned append method? Yes, with the range method. Best way to test for null variables in Python is: it is very important that none is uppercase and not lowercase.
First, I want to know if there is a way to test if an index of a list exists. You can take advantage of the fact that list indices are numeric, starting from 0, and are recalculated when lists are modified. The other way, to avoid the index error, is to catch it. Is there any way to create a list index aside from using the aforementioned append method? You don't create an index, it is automatically set when you add or delete items from a list. So the only way to create an index is to append an item to the list. Usually it is a flag of bad design if you are constantly presetting your list, that is, you set a large list with a default value and then step through that.
If you want to see more, please consider subscribing.